Real life examples. A common objection is customers telling you that their friends or relatives have an insurance policy that's a lot lower. So when you're closing the deal, they're going to tell you, my friend pays $20, $30 lower. Let me just go shop around. Let me check their company. Let me ask. Let me see if I could get something similar to what my friend is paying. So I call it apple to apple comparison. Now, your job is going to be to investigate to determine how much information does your customer know about their friend or relative. And why is this important? Because if he doesn't have the knowledge, all the information, all the details of the information that determines what you qualify for, then they're comparing to something that they do not have a clue whatsoever. So I call it apple to apple comparison. Why? Because if they don't have the information or of their friend or relative, and also if that information is not identical, an apple to apple, identical to their situation, their information, then that means they're completely two different situations. And of course, every person qualifies for something based on their information. So you're gonna ask them basic information as far as their age, do they have a license, do they know if they have any tickets, their address, their zip code, what vehicles do they have, what coverages do they have, when did they obtain the policy, do they have any other drivers or vehicles on the policy. So you're going to start asking all of this information, and I guarantee you that they're not going to know everything. First of all, they may know where they live, but they don't know the zip code. They don't know if they have a license or not. They don't know their driving record. They don't know how many vehicles are they added to someone else's policy. That's a possibility. So what you're going to do is you're going to start investigating to determine how much knowledge they have, and you're going to use their responses to justify the fact that they don't know all the information. And also, if you gather information that you could use to compare that there's two different situations, then at that point use that information. For instance, let's say your customer's 25 years old and their relative is 35. Automatically, the age difference. Maybe your customer doesn't have a license, but their friend or relative does. That's an automatic big difference because the type of driver. Maybe they live in a different city. Automatically, the zip code. Possibly they have multiple vehicles, multi-car discount. Or simply if they tell you, I'm not 100% sure, there you go. So how could you compare your situation with your friend or relative when you really have no clue whatsoever? What if they have a policy that they're not even covered? Start emphasizing and educating them on the possibility that maybe they're added to another policy and they're excluded. Maybe the vehicle is covered, but not the driver, which is pretty common. Maybe they're under a multi-family policy, multi-vehicle policy, but only the vehicle's covered. Maybe they had a policy for the last 3-4 years, so they qualify for a loyalty discount, a renewal discount that may not be available today. If they have a license, do they have any tickets? I mean, you got to look into all the situation, into your customer's friends or relative situation to understand that situation and to use that information to justify that his friend or relative qualifies for that, or maybe friend or relative has an option that may not even be realistic, maybe an option that they don't offer coverages for that. And you're going to use that as a motivation for them to make a decision today. A closing tool that I use is your friend or relative going to pay for the damages or for the situation if you leave without insurance and you get yourself into some sort of trouble? Most likely they're going to say no. So you're going to tell them, in that case, why don't we just figure out what's the best option for you, because no one else is going to help you if you're involved in an accident. Your friend or relative that you're using right now to compare, they're not going to help you financially to take care of your situation. So therefore, there's no reason why we should look into that, because they have a completely different situation than yours. Then focus on convincing them on making a decision, eliminate the options that they're giving you simply because it's not an apple to apple comparison. You cannot compare two different situations and try to justify the same rate. That just doesn't exist. It's not possible. Use the justifying factors to at least educate the client that all these details have a lot to do with the rate, type of driver, type of license, age, tickets, zip code from one city to another. Matter of fact, there's a borderline sometimes from one zip code to the other. That may make a difference of $20-$30. So you have to educate them, but you have to investigate the information of their friends or relatives situation and use it in a way where you could justify, look, you don't know enough. The situation is different. They may qualify for something lower because of this reason, because of this factor. Why focus on something that you're not going to qualify for because you guys don't have identical situations? And also the apple to apple comparison. Tell them, look, if you guys had the same vehicle, lived under the same zip code, had the same age, wanted the same coverages, if everything was identical, then it makes sense. You should pay the same thing that they're paying. But the fact that you guys have a completely different situation, it doesn't make sense for you to look for an option that someone else qualifies for. Use this as a way of making it tangible, making it realistic, and eliminating all of these other rates that they're comparing to.